So there's this interesting kind of death and rebirth of Jupiter that's happening, and the death and rebirth of Jupiterian type things, which have to do with spirituality and like how we see ourselves, and gurus, because Jupiter is called guru. Aloha, everybody, and welcome to the Wild Wahine. This is Kaylani, and we're here to talk about the full moon in Leo. So I just wanted to talk about a couple of things that would be, kind of guide you guys through the next 2 days that we're going to be in this energy. And some of the things that I'm talking about, the aspects, we're going to have this energy really into the end of the week. So this will just be like mostly on the full moon, but also we're going to be talking about what's going on with Jupiter and the sun, because that's important, and that's going to be affecting and pushing up against the full moon. So let's start with the full moon. Full moon is a time typically of release. We set our intentions for the new moon in Capricorn. A lot of us did. We wrote down things, or we thought about things that we wanted to bring in. The full moon typically is a time where we're releasing our ideas, we're releasing all of our fears, we're releasing things just out into the open, so that we can like kind of continue to be on the stage to developing the thing that we wanted to develop. A lot of that might have come to fruition, and so now what you're doing, now that you've set your intention and you've been building it up for the 2 weeks, and now you're kind of releasing that thing out into the wild, now you're just sitting back here and thinking about, okay, what am I going to do with my newfound state? What am I going to do with the next phase? What does that look like? What's the new thing that I'm bringing in? A really great time to charge your crystals, to charge your tarot decks, to charge all your magical tools and all of that. We don't have an eclipse or anything like that, so this is a really good energy and good time to do that. So let's talk a little bit about the full moon in Leo, and Leo specifically, Leo energy, which is associated with the heart chakra, associated with love and family, associated with creativity, associated with children and fertility, with life and vitality, because Leo is ruled by the sun. So we're looking a lot at the sun and what's going on with the sun, and the sun right now is in the sign of Aquarius. So Aquarius is mind energy, wintry energy. Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, so it's actually ruled a little bit more by death, and about and the death of potentially like the ego, and what it means to kind of sort of elevate past that, and what reformation and kind of being your own person, and outsiders wanting to become insiders. And so it's this interesting kind of juxtaposition, and whenever we have a full moon, what essentially that means in astrology is that the moon is opposite the sun, so they're in opposition to each other, and so there kind of is this kind of shadow versus essentially the light, and those two ideas, and what that means, and how we're dealing with that energy. The sun also has an interesting thing that's happening right now, because it's conjunct Jupiter, and it's forming something called a cazimi, and I'm not going to go into too much astrological detail about that, and maybe if you're like really interested in learning, I can do some other videos about the astrology of that. But essentially what a cazimi is when a planet is considered to be in the heart of the sun. It tends to be a very auspicious time where that particular planet's energies get heightened. And so since it's Jupiter, and Jupiter is kind of our good luck planet, it is considered a benefic planet. The sun generally is considered to be benefic as well. So it's benefic upon benefic, which means like nice, sparkly, joy, beauty, and fun, and expansion, and all of that kind of fun stuff. Yes, but then also too, you have this T-square that's happening with Uranus, which is just surprise and breaking things up in Aries too. So we do, even though have this like really auspicious, beautiful time, we still have like a little bit of conflict and struggle that's going to come with it. And the conflict and struggle is really going to be about like what we think and how we think, and really like the leaders and of our lives, and who it is that's like influencing us in a deeply spiritual way, or even just a deeply emotional way. So we're going to talk about that. But I just wanted to talk a little bit more about Aquarius in the sense, because like I said, Aquarius is ruling the sun, and this kind of idea of the Aquarius as the outsider, and then the moon being ruled by Leo is more so like the insider, like having insider information. Leo energy always tends to be like the cool kids, the popular kids, the kids that everybody follows, the ones that are like kind of the in crowd. Aquarians might kind of have that kind of outsider quality. They actually do, they are the movers and shakers, so to speak. They actually might come in with that like new outfit, and everybody's like, wow, that's so freaking weird. But then in 2 weeks, everybody's wearing it and it's now the cool thing. And then the Aquarian energy is looking at that like, ugh, it's so boring. Now I'm gonna have to like come out with something else. And so they are kind of like the trendsetters, but never really like part of being the trend. And so there's this interesting kind of energy between that, and we're gonna be kind of sort of, just because there's just a lot of Aquarius energy right now, we're going to be going through this a lot, where those, finding our way as outsiders to the inside. What does that mean when you've lived on the outside for so long and become an insider? How does that change you? Do you want to be an outsider still, and are you bringing some of those qualities in? So this is kind of sort of energy that we're going to be like chatting about and talking about. Pluto is going to be going into Aquarius, quote unquote, age of Aquarius, which doesn't really exist, but in the sense that all of these big major like outer planets are sitting in Aquarius for a long time, it's going to feel like an age of Aquarius, so to speak. So with this particular lunation, with the full moon in Leo opposite the sun in Aquarius, and also both of them are forming squares to Mars and Uranus, and Mars and Uranus are conjunct, and that's kind of cooking over there. We have some things that are going to be really like fun and amazing, and some things that we need to kind of look out for, because there is going to be this shadow side. Because as I said before, when we have the sun here and we have Jupiter, don't you just love this? This really could have been a computer animation, but it's not. I'm doing the real thing, guys. As Jupiter is entering into the cazimi, it's under something called combustion, and so that kind of like debilitates Jupiter and makes it a little weak, and actually some of the shadowy parts of Jupiter become more prevalent. Then it's in cazimi, then it's like, I got this, like it's amazing, and then as it goes out, it's like a bust again. So there's this interesting kind of death and rebirth of Jupiter that's happening, and the death and rebirth of Jupiterian type things, which have to do with spirituality and like how we see ourselves, and gurus, because Jupiter is called guru. That's a nickname for the planet. So the people that we trust, the people that we put our faith and trust in our political systems and our spiritual communities and things like that, taking a fall perhaps, and then shaking our faith a little bit, so we're gonna have some faith shaking potential times, where we're just reevaluating like what we believe in, and is this right, and how do I feel about my morality and moral issues and things like that. So some of the positive things, though, let's start with that. Some of the like yummy things that's coming from this is with that Jupiter sun in Leo, there's order, there's spirituality. People might feel like deeply connected to their spirituality, deeply connected to their desire. There's a lot more positive energy that's happening. You really feel this affirmation and a confirmation in what you're doing. Like, I was meant to do this. Because when the sun was conjunct Saturn, that was really rough for so many people, like questioning themselves earlier this week, like, why am I here? What am I doing? Is this even going to work? Am I even good at this? Like, who the fuck do I think I am? That was kind of like weekend and early week energy. And so now we're coming into this, like, I know who I am. I know what I'm doing. I know how I can do this. I'm here for a purpose. I'm feeling my purpose. You're feeling yourself, so to speak. And so that's how you're going to feel, which is great, because it feels good to have like that level of confidence. And that's that kind of Leo. Leo also is associated with the sacral chakra too. Like it's interesting. Like some people will say it's heart, some people will say it's the third, the sacral chakra, because that's where like your power, your sense of power, and your sense of being, and like going out in the world and doing your thing. I think they're kind of sort of connected. Both of them in a sense. So feeling your power, feeling like you're empowered, feeling like you really know what you're doing, and that you are grounded in that. It has a lot to do with attachment. It has to do with like institutions, but the institutions, not institutions in a Saturnian way, like an institution that is kind of like the government, but more so like your spiritual institutions, about like morality, or what is the proper way that we do things? What are the structure behind how you do things, ethics, things like that, which I think are, deeply important, as we're talking a lot about social justice right now. And just, that theme is a theme that's going to be running really into this year, 2021, and also 2022. Has to do with like abundance and wealth and prosperity. So really good time to kind of like, do some work around that, or set up something today around like bringing that level of abundance into your life, and especially like financial abundance and things like that. And just really a courageous spirit. So those are some of the positive things that are coming from this. Some of the negative things that can come, especially when Jupiter is on the, outside of the heart of the sun, and it's combust, and it's like kind of like losing its power and not in that beautiful space. Conflict is going to be huge. Kind of having a way overblown ego, being way too much, being like extra to the point of, and then like even with Leo, like there's that aspect to the energy that's just too big, too much, too large, too dramatic. Trying to get energy or get things or find comfort from drama and crazy. Like that's something that we don't want to do. We want to connect in really wholesome, playful ways, actually, as opposed to dramatic, overblown, scary ways. The breakdown, wayward gurus, that's, people who you've looked up to, who you've like kind of cherished, teachers of yours. They could be like life teachers or life coaches, could be a good friend, could be anybody that you kind of sort of just really connected to or looked up. Having a fall from grace, and then you just questioning who you are and why you're here. And, I believed in this person, or I believed in this methodology, or I believed in this politician, or I believed, and now they're not fighting for us, or they're not doing this, or look at them, they got caught up in this thing, and now I don't know, and I'm just kind of disillusioned because I put like all my eggs in this basket, which really asks a lot of times for us, like to, like, what is the relationship between being inspired by somebody and being excited, by someone, and then them taking a fall, and then it kind of taking away everything that you got from it? Is there a way that you can still understand that, yes, I've had this connection with this person, this way of life, this belief system, whatever it is, but I'm realizing now that it's not perfect, and it's far from perfect, as a lot of us are, but I can still take the good things from that and then like apply them in other ways. So we're going to kind of sort of be asked to think about that. It has a lot to do with like attachment, and whenever you have attachment, there is suffering that comes with that, because things are never permanent. They're always moving, and so when we become attached to something, we want some sort of permanence, and then when it goes away, we feel this great sense of loss. And loss is a source of so much pain and suffering for so many of us in different ways, like the losing of a job, the losing of money, the losing of life, the losing of a relationship, all of those things. So, and also comparison, like, oh my gosh, this person has a bigger this, or they have more money, or they have this, and look at what I have, and why don't I have this, and didn't I deserve it? So those are some things that can come up too, that you're definitely going to want to work through. So working with the energy of the moon, some active things that you can do to celebrate this lunar time in Leo. Think about, because the moon is a lot about like how we comfort and how we like to be comforted. And so with the moon in Leo, it does have that kind of, it's the sun. It's like kind of typically like a little bit flashy, kind of really big, likes nice things. So what are some things that you can do to really kind of like lay in your luxury, and also ways that you can comfort others in a very luxurious way? Now, I'm not saying that you have to spend like all of your money. I don't think luxury has a lot to do with, I mean, it obviously in some ways does, but it could just be like just buying your favorite like coffee from wherever, or making your favorite coffee or whatever, like something that you just feel like, I never have time to do, I'm always so busy, but let me just take a bubble bath. Let me binge watch. Like for some people, binge watching is a luxury. They're so busy all of the time trying to provide for themselves and provide for their family. They don't get a chance to binge watch things, where so many other people do, and it's no big deal. So what luxury is for one person is different from someone else. But adding that little bit of luxury into your life is going to be like really fun for yourself. Spending time with children is another thing that I think it could be a really sweet thing to do. If you happen to have children, like getting on the floor and playing with them, like, watching movies, playing some games. Like Leo energy is all about play, and so having that energy, having a playful spirit, and the spirit of play, the spirit of joy in your life at this time, like for the next couple of days as we're going through this energy, would be really good. I mean, I was interesting. I do a daily tarot pull every day, and I pulled the Sun card, which is associated with Leo too, and I just was like, oh yes, like today's energy, like sun and play, and how can I incorporate that into today's energy? And so just anything that's creative, anything that is passionate, anything that gets you like kind of into your inner child and playing and just connecting with others and connecting with children and connecting with the child part of yourself is a really good thing to do. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. And if you have any questions, just like, put them, you can email me, you can contact me, however, like this video, share this video if you enjoy it and you like it. I'll have it up on my YouTube, I'll have it up on my Facebook and on Instagram. And thank you guys so much for listening in, and have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful full moon in Leo.